Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Friday, January 28th edition of our video devotionals. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope your Friday is going well thus far, and I hope your week's going well. And this is the last complete week of January, and on Monday, of course, will be the 31st, and then we'll hit February. So time sure is flying by, but you know what? Hopefully, you're getting things accomplished. Hopefully, you're staying well or recovering from sickness, and there is a lot of that around, of course. We understand that. But we do call this Faithful Friday, so God has been faithful to us nonetheless. So today we're going to be looking at Leviticus. I think we're going to look at chapter 2. I was trying to determine just which way I was going to go with this. Just mention a few things I've read between chapters 1 and 4, and then zero in on one particular thing today, and that'll be in chapter 2 and verse number 13. Okay? So let you find that. Thank you again for all who watch the videos. We appreciate you very much. I just want to tell you a little story here before we get into this. We at our church, we go soul winning. We got people that do go soul winning. And you go out and you meet people, and you never know. I mean, as we tell our folks, like we went yesterday, and you meet people, have all kind of different backgrounds, experiences, and you meet a lot of nice people. And every once in a while you meet someone that don't agree with you, but it's really, compared to situations I've seen in the past, it's a much friendlier environment out there. I'll just put it that way. So in the process of going soul winning one day, this has been about maybe a couple of months ago, I knocked on a lady's door, and I got to talking to her, and I looked down and noticed she had some nice landscaping, and I was just pointing that out and saying, well, it looks really nice there. And I pointed down in a particular rock, and I said, man, that rock looks really beautiful there. I said, I kind of noticed things like that myself. I said, when I was a kid growing up, me and my brother, we'd look for arrowheads, and we'd find them. And so we noticed, beautiful rocks in our area. There's a lot of quartz and stuff like that. So anyway, long story short, is the lady said, you like that rock right there? And I said, yes, a nice looking rock. She says, well, won't you take it? And I said, well, I don't want to take your rock. And she said, no, go ahead and take it. I'm going to show you this rock now, because this was not a small little stone. Here's the rock, and I hope you can see it here. It's a beautiful rock. I'm guessing this is some kind of a quartz. And as you look at it, and of course, I'll turn it around here, it's a rock. And some of you may know exactly what this is. I'm guessing some type of quartz, but notice that brown there. And I said, well, I appreciate that. Now, here's the unique thing about it. As I was out soul winning, I was probably maybe halfway through the area that I was going to be knocking. So now I'm carrying this big rock around with me. And so you can imagine the next door, and really all the doors, my explanation of having a rock in my hand. Now, bear in mind, this is cold calling. We're knocking on doors, and the first thing they do is they look out the window, open the door, and here's this big tall guy that they don't know, and he's got a big rock in his hand. And of course, the first thing I say is, I know this looks unusual. I've got a rock in my hand. I'm trying to explain how I've got it. I said, but it does look odd that I'm standing here with a rock in my hand. I'm knocking on your door, and that's the first thing you see. So that was unique. But you know what? I like this rock, so it's in my office, of course. Beautiful rock, and you never know what you're going to experience out soul winning. And so it got me a beautiful rock. But the other thing, of course, is as you're carrying this rock, that rock gets really, really heavy. I'm guessing that rock probably weighs 5 pounds, maybe more than that. It's solid, and you're carrying this rock around. And then you got to go walk all the way back to your vehicle. We had some folks that were out with us, and I'm explaining them to the store. They're laughing, and this thing's getting really heavy. So, but I got me a rock. So that's a unique soul winning story. All right, back to this. Now, we're not going to be very long today, because I spent a lot of time on my rock story here. But in Leviticus 2:13, it says this: "In every oblation of thy meat offering shalt thou season with salt. Neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy God to be lacking from thy meat offering. With all thine offerings thou shalt offer salt." When we hear about these offerings, we don't normally hear or speak about the salt aspect of it. But here God is saying you offer it with salt. Now, here's some things that, as I was reading these first 4 chapters here, of course, it mentioned already 4 different offerings. There was a burnt offering, the meat offering, the peace offering, and the sin offering. All of these had different procedures, had places where they were to do it, how to separate the meat, even the gender of the animal that they would use, either the male or the female. Of course, you're talking about things from like a cow, a heifer, a bull. You're talking about goats. You're talking about lambs. You're talking about turtle doves or pigeons, something like that. So the point is, all this had procedures, and God wanted it a certain way. And in some cases, it'd be done, at this particular time, and all of that. But it said here that the salt, and it mentioned the salt of the covenant of thy God, that it should not be lacking from thy meat offering. With all thine offerings shalt thou offer salt. So, the Lord told us that we're the salt of the earth. And when you think about salt, especially in that day, salt was a very precious commodity. In fact, I think there's stories where they would pay people in salt, and people gladly took it because salt was needed for everything. But we are the salt of the earth. And when you think about what would salt be primarily used for, certainly you think about seasoning, but more importantly than that is preservation, especially preserving meat so that they will not spoil. Where I'm living right now, my grandfather had a pack house, and we bought that property. The pack house is still there, but it's not used for what it used to be used for. But I remember one time they slaughtered a pig, and they separated that pig, and there was neighbors that came and helped, and they took big sheets of brown paper and laid that meat in there and salted that thing real good. In some cases there was pepper involved and brown sugar, but I remember the salt. And they'd wrap that meat up or tape that meat up in that thick, what looked like very thick, like a brown paper bag type material, and then put it in a sack, and they would hang it up. And it would preserve that meat. Even in summertime when it was super hot, a tin building, you can imagine temperatures inside that building, but that meat was preserved or being preserved, and that salt was very important to that process. So, society is what it is, but we are the salt of the earth. And God said, when you offer this particular offering, you offer, and He called it the salt of the covenant of thy God. So salt very important, and in the spiritual sense, we are the salt of the earth as God's people. And let's live and let that salt be evident in our life, because it's important. It's important to God. It's important to the society that we live in. So that's just the thought for today. We're going to see you on Monday, be the last day of January, and we hope you have a great weekend, great Sunday. Be careful if the weather's a little bit difficult in your area. We're supposed to get more snow tonight. Not a big amount, but an amount, enough to, where it would, cause some concerns in travel and walking and all of that. So we'll see you on Monday. Hope you have a great day.